Welcome to the Hero Escape Podcast, your weekly escape from highly advanced alien civilizations that don't understand basic English vowel pronunciation. I am one of your three co-hosts, Carol Danvers, and I am joined by...
Trank Stabsley.
Oh,
Trank Stabsley.
Nice.
Okay. And I am Lieutenant Levram, which is Marvel spelled backwards.
Oh.
And trying to go away from the, too many captains in the universe, right?
Yeah,
So
there are.
Let's be honest.
Where's the colonels and the majors and
Exactly.
the
A lot of
lieutenants?
Anyway, and I just want to say, I'm not as cool as certain captains that we know. So, but Levram it is. But before we get into our one and most precious, much awaited, and many times requested review of the new
Well, hold on. We
hit
have to
movie
dedicate
Marvel
this
release,
episode.
we need to hear the dedication.
Hombre
Yeah. Stabs a lot, or whatever your name is.
stabs a lot. That's it. Sir stabs a lot.
We'd like to dedicate this episode to.
I'm going to dedicate this to Leonard Nimoy, who passed away a few years ago, but we didn't get a chance to do a dedication because we didn't do this back then. And I'm going to say he did not feel this sacrifice a vain or empty one. And we will not debate his profound wisdom at these proceedings. Of my friend, I can only say this. Of all the souls I have encountered in my travels, his was the most human.
Well done.
Okay.
Ah, Nimoy. Dead long and prospering.
Bravo, Sir
Thank
Stabs a lot.
you. Thank you.
And you know what? To start off our
Starfleet Commander stabs a lot to you.
Sorry, man. I'm merely lieutenant, sir. Let's just say the start of the Captain Marvel movie, they did a kind of a prolonged tribute to Stan Lee, and that warmed the old heart just a bit.
Yeah.
New Marvel
Yeah.
logo.
That was awesome.
It
And then
was
they
good.
still kind of snuck him in on the bus a little bit, like not showing his face,
Yeah.
but you got that was like they kind of still.
Was it
threw
really
in.
him or was it like a CGI?
It's
type?
CGI.
really
too.
him.
Was it really him? Okay.
I thought it was
before-
CGI'd.
He
I wasn't sure. He looked
CGI.
It-
-ish.
Or help.
apparently was filmed only a few months before he passed, and he was in a very weakened state.
Yeah, he did
And
not seem.
I think they ADR'd his actual voice from a previous thing. And the interesting thing here is, not to go down a rabbit hole too much with the factoids, but in that scene, he is reading the script to Kevin Smith's Mallrats.
Okay, I see it was a script. Yeah.
Really?
And he is reciting a line that he says in Mallrats. And I watched a video from Kevin Smith, and he said that months ago, he got a call from Kevin Feige saying, hey, I got to spoil the Stan Lee cameo for you because it has to do with your movie and everything. And then he said he was in a weakened state and he was having a hard time kind of like pronouncing or like his voice. So they actually went back and got audio from outtakes from when they filmed Mallrats, which was 95, I think.
Holy cow!
And they
dude.
used that over top of this scene.
You just gotta love the effort they put into getting things right. Anyways, and Stan Lee, Bomb Dizzle. That was I was touched. I loved that. I was just like, it's so fun that they can do those things into it, and it never detracts from the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you feel like every time it adds to it. At least for me, it does.
Yeah. One other little interesting tidbit that I'm curious what you guys' opinion on this is. Technically speaking, because they show the front of the script and it says Mallrats by Kevin Smith, therefore Kevin Smith is now a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, I bet he's
Yeah,
just
he is.
tickled silly by that.
He cries at the drop of a hat, and he literally took a video after he got out of the theater, and you could tell his face was just like blotched red. Just like, can you imagine seeing that intro, the new logo, and then just a few minutes later seeing your self-reference with Stan Lee? Like, oh man, too much.
Dude.
So I thought that was pretty rad.
That
Even
is
though he's a
pretty
DC guy, I guess he's cool with it.
awesome. Oh, he's an everything guy, really, isn't he? I mean, anyways. But, okay, so we didn't get a chance to do like a prediction sure to go wrong for this movie because one of us not to be named was unavailable for an episode. We may or may not forgive that person. Anyways, but there was a lot of hullabaloo preceding the release of this movie.
Yeah.
That was getting stupid ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And to my great relief, that all seemed to be a not, political hullabaloo is what I'm referring to. And that seemed to not matter in this movie. I watched the movie just last night, got back into the country. Dang it was me. Okay. And watched the movie as soon as we could. First night back with my wife, and we both really enjoyed it. It was an enjoyable, good movie.
Without any, that I detected, heavy-handed agendaing or anything like that.
Like you'd have to like want it or look for it to find it, I guess. I mean, there was some of it there, but like there's people claiming it's a feminist movie, claiming it's this thing. It was just a movie. It wasn't trying to be important or anything like that. You know, they just told a story of a super. They made a superhero movie. So if you have reservations in watching that movie for that reason, my advice is let that go, man. Just watch it. If you you have other reasons you don't want to watch it because you're not interested, fine. But that was not a thing in the movie that I think left any like.
Yeah,
not a heavy-handed.
There wasn't any heavy-handedness in it. I will say, like, I know the origin of Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, and they added in the stuff like, oh, she can't fly real missions because she's a girl. They added that stuff in. That's not true to her Marvel origin, but
well, I think it is militarily true for a while because the women weren't allowed in combat.
Yeah, but I'm saying her origin is that she actually did get promoted very quickly in the military and got into like military intelligence very quickly. I mean, she had a very successful career in the military.
They didn't say she wasn't having success. It's just she couldn't fly combat missions. That's not quite the same thing. That's what
she wanted to do. So she was basically just flying training.
She was being kept down by the man. Yeah, but still, that to me is by the man, right? But still, none of it. So, if like I said, if you looked for it and you wanted to find it,
it was subtle. It wasn't. I mean, they didn't make it like she was.
Yeah. Anyways, I thought I was surprised, and I should stop being surprised that they could introduce a new character and have it feel like a different origin story. That it's not the same origin story every way. I mean, yes, she kind of comes aware of her powers. There's all that kind of happening in the movie, but the whole mind messing up in her head thing. Like, I think you didn't like the beginning part of the movie as much. Is that right, Nathaniel? But I actually really did.
It was more that I just felt not grounded in anything for the first while, as not knowing really much about her history from the comics. The whole first bit where she's, with the Kree, I was just kind of like, okay, it feels like we jumped into the middle of the movie. I assume at some point I'm going to get some context. And then they slowly start building context, but I really wasn't into it until we got anchored in Earth and her childhood history scenes, and that I felt like I needed. And it made me think a lot about Guardians of the Galaxy, like why did Peter Quill work better for me than, this particular, you know what I mean?
I felt like it was just the way it was. I don't know. I think we talked about this a little bit, that they've probably origin storied themselves, they feel like, to death. So they were like, hey, well, let's try to do this a little differently. And I don't feel like it worked as well as they thought it should. I didn't really like the bouncing back and forth between Kree and then memories of Earth life and then Kree and then space and then sort of a hazy memory of Earth life again. I didn't really enjoy that. I don't know.
Here's what I liked about it. Okay, I know you guys enjoyed the movie, maybe not as much as other Marvel movies, but it was a good movie. Like, you guys, it was a good movie. You didn't hate it or anything. I don't want to put words in your mouth, and we'll get to that. But
too late.
I liked, so it was different. So I was enjoying that it was different. That part of it I liked because it was a different way of introducing a character, and I think it was right to do it that way. But it needed a twist more of it in some way that I can't put my finger on. Maybe you guys can help me, because
I feel like it probably needed a twist less of it.
Let me explain why. If they could get it to where I'm trying to say, let me try and make sense of that statement. So, one of the things that people have a hard time with the character of Captain Marvel is some of the feedback I've heard is like they didn't really relate to her. Like, I didn't really necessarily like her. Like, I like Thor, I like Captain America, I like Peter Quill, or any of these other characters we've been talking about. They really like them. They have a hard time relating to, connecting with her. And one of the ways you make a character, people to like a character, is find some way to be relatable. You and I don't have the ability to relate to someone who has super power blasts shooting out of their fists. We might want to be able to.
Speak for yourself.
Right?
You don't know me like that.
We don't want that. But so the way you do it is, even if you're doing an alien, which you don't know at first if she is an alien or not. You see her with the blue blood. The first time you see her with blue blood, oh, is she like not really human? But the way you do that with an alien is you humanize them. You do something, you make them have experiences or shared concerns as that you would have, or something that makes them feel very human to you. Or like, this is someone who's I could walk a foot or two in their path, or hey, they've walked a foot or 2 mile down my road as well. And a way that I wish they kind of were doing with this, where it's her amnesia. The story starts where she doesn't know who she is. And so that's the disorientation that the beginning we're kind of describing as we talked about it is important. And they needed to relate that disorientation to how she feels and why they needed to connect that to her personally. Right? Now, if you've ever had like a bad concussion or a head injury and you start questioning your own memories, you feel...
Nobody can see that Mr. Larva, something like that.
Lev Ram.
He raised his hand. He's had a head injury.
Yeah. I got whacked. I was on a bike. I got hit by a car, knocked out for a significant amount of time, came back, and suffered not knowing if I was remembering stuff right. So when you start to doubt basic things, like I didn't have amnesia, like I didn't know who I was, but like, did this happen or did this not happen? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I had a really hard time with that for a little while. And that puts you in a spiral of doubt that can get out of control. And you don't need to have a head injury to know that feeling lost is a terrible feeling.
So They basically made this movie and wrote this character for you and Jason Bourne. Those are the 2 people that are supposed to get it.
But see, in Jason Bourne, you connect with him, not like he really wants to know who he is. It becomes important to him. Like, not knowing who you are. You might know who your parents or what your name was, but like, where do I fit in this universe? Who am I? Like, that's one of the fundamental questions of life. But they don't ever connect that disorientation of being lost. Who am I? Where do I belong? What am I supposed to be? They don't actually connect that in an emotional way to the character, but they start to with that, right? So like, oh, this is good. This is how I think they can make her more relatable and make you connect to her and like her and sympathize, or at least sympathize with her, right? And so that's what I'm saying. Maybe just a twist more of it where they connect it to her, and then if they'd done that, and then when she does remember, you're not even sure if she remembers, and then all she's like, yeah, I do remember you now. And she hugs her friend, right? It's like, oh, she got her memory back, and there's a little bit of emotion. Like, if they had made that like where she has like, I really remember, and she connected more emotion in that scene when the remembering and the pain of not knowing somehow.
I guess a little bit more real. A scene where they show like, okay, I do have all of my memories back. I get this, and
so I don't know. Part of those 2 ropes that they could have tugged on there to tug on the heartstrings a little bit, or to connect with us. I wish that's what I meant by twist more. We connect more with her as a person, being lost and being found.
I think that what you're almost talking around it is that, in a way, you could say that a lot of what is because she didn't sell it. That there's this other element in this film going on that you have commented about.
Yep. Trank. So is it writing? Is it performance and delivery?
Yeah.
I think it's some of both.
That's hard to tell. I agree. I do.
Yeah. Because if Daniel Day-Lewis played this role, we would have bought in 100%.
Or James McAvoy.
James McAvoy nailed it. Yeah. And it still could have been written as a woman, and he still would have done it.
Exactly.
I think part of it that leads into that is, and I talked about, I think to you, that when she is sort of remembering, that person that she remembers, when you kind of see the hazy ghost images of her previous life in her memory,
like singing karaoke,
it's almost a different person. Those 2 people are not even similar. This is an outgoing, friendly person, and then Veers is this sort of wooden-faced, I'm sort of trying to be tough. I'm like, you're not even similar. It's like your personality also changed, and there's no linkage between your memory. And I don't feel I didn't get that. I was like, well, that person is not you now. You aren't this person now, and there's no return to that person, and we don't see a transition to the tough face girl, whatever.
I didn't feel like it couldn't be the same person. I mean, when you have your complete loss of memory,
but I didn't see any step in between, and I didn't see anything. So that to me was like, why is she this way now? And why was she
I was expecting.
I don't know. There was like, I don't know if it should need. I don't know if it need more of the twist or less of the twist, but something needed twisting to get it synced up into place. And there was a. they were out of sync.
Yeah, but that's almost a different,
versions of her life.
point. But anyway, it's a good one. It's a good point.
But I guess all I was trying to say is, you seem to be leaning, because there really is a question here. Is the inability to connect in the script, or is it in the performance? And you seem to be leaning towards the script, and that's why I sort of interrupted to say I think I lean towards performance. But yeah,
because as you know, people listen. We try to watch the movie spoiler free. We didn't want to know what we're allowed to know, and not like find, or at least me, especially me. I don't want to know like leaked information that I'm not supposed to know, like trailers, source material. I'm fine with, but there was a lot of concern about her having a wooden performance, right? Yeah. Being wooden. That had pierced my cloud of protection around my head.
I don't know if I blame her. Someone told her to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, she just does what people tell her. That's what an actor does. They just do what people tell them to do and read the lines that people wrote.
Skull.
So what? By writing down the words other people wrote and then acting the way somebody told her
to. Yeah. We can go down that road. But I thought she almost had too much humor. Like, she would do these wisecrack jokes that I don't know fit in her personality, and sometimes she'd make these wisecrack marks that I thought were a little bit poorly timed, a little bit awkward, but so what? Her personality is different than mine. I wouldn't have made that joke then, and I make a lot of stupid jokes. But
I would say that leans again towards the fact that the personality wasn't grounded. It wasn't, almost like it wasn't fully formed. Like it wasn't on locked in before they rolled tape.
That is probably, I appreciate that statement. Her personality was not a fully formed personality.
Yeah. But if she's making these jokes that seem a little bit weird, like people use humor as a tool in a lot of different ways, as people, not just in writing. You use it sometimes you use it to cheer people up. Sometimes you use it to hide your own fears.
Or to interrupt your friends on the podcast while they're trying to talk. No, that was me. That was a self-reference.
Okay, sorry. Oh, I'll wait my turn. But anyways, so it would have made sense if she'd had this, you had connected with her, like how lost she was feeling. Then you would see her kind of doing these bravado type jokes that she was compensating for a legitimate insecurity or fear, right? That's human. It would have added to it. But again, I wish they had done that. I'm not saying that maybe they could have made that more connection where you sympathize with her character in another way, but it seemed like they were going for that, and they, at least for me, didn't quite get there.
I agree, because I think about like the major players on the Marvel Universe and their initial movies, right? And there was Thor has a great story arc where you have to see him you connect with him, right? In that first Thor movie, right? He goes through these challenges, you get to know him. He has to become very grounded and then very humble, and you kind of go on that journey. Captain America, something very similar, right? He starts off sort of...
Yeah, is he going to stay true to his principles through a lot of really hard times? Yeah. Endure to the end is his storyline.
And Iron Man he has to overcome his ego, and you go in this very physical, arduous situation, but also like a very emotional, like
internal changing,
an internal change also. And those are all things that we can connect on. All of those people had to improve or stick to their principles somehow. And it's a journey I like to see. I like that, and I connect with it, and I don't feel like I really got that.
And with her, they could have done a journey of discovering who she is or who she wants to be. Like that's an arc that we kind of all have in our life, and we could connect to, but somehow
maybe they tried to do it with the whole sort of. There's a couple of scenes with Jude Law when he's like trying to like, oh, you need to be able to beat me without the powers. But I sort of feel like that didn't pay off, because I'm going to be like, well, you never did beat him without your powers. So like.
Yeah, but I love that she just blasted the crap out of him.
That's fine.
I was like, don't fall for that. She's
that's
all,
fine.
Boom.
There's no rule.
I kind of loved it. I was like,
there's no rule that you have to do it to be a superhero. You have to do it. I mean, it's kind of cool if you can, but I was like, you never
Captain
did.
America and Hawkeye, right? I mean,
exactly. Yeah. There's no rule.
So that was actually, I was just going to say, well, let's talk about some of the scenes that we really liked. And that was one of the scenes that I really liked. He's like, he's trying to play this card. It's like, I know I can't beat her, so I'm going to go for a mental play here and get her to try and fight me on an even ground, which is clever for that character. But then she just like, boom, it does. I actually liked it. Even though
I didn't feel like it was
I had the conflicted thing too. I was like, well, he's right. You did never beat him, but she's also like, I don't gotta.
Yeah, she doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that was her story arc, was about her overcoming her constant seeking of approval. Like they're showing father figures in her life. And
that's a
military
good
father
point.
figures.
Yeah.
And then he becomes yet another one of those figures. And then by the end, it's her sort of breaking free of that chain of, I need all these people's stamp of okay before I do anything, sort of thing. So that's what I took it to be anyway.
That's good.
So,
That's very insightful of you because I didn't pick that up at all, which makes me think they didn't write it well.
Yeah, the fault could not be with you. It would have to. I didn't pick it up either. But that is a good story arc. I didn't.
But
pick
it wasn't.
It up.
It was such a very subtle, small thing that I feel like it would have been a good story arc if it had been a story arc.
yeah.
I also really liked. I did not know about that cat that was actually called a
Flurkin.
Flurkin. I keep wanting to say that wrong, and I know I should not say that wrong because it could sound terrible. But they played that to me. That was a perfect no, that's not a cat. That's not a cat. And it kept he's like and then you realize that is really, really not a cat.
Yeah. He was right to be afraid the whole time. He does not have an irrational phobia.
Yes, that was legit, and that was well played, Marvel. Well played. I love the Flarkin cat.
I feel like I should say, for anybody who saw my review that I shared right after seeing it, this movie helped me realize a lot about myself, which is that I actually lean a little bit more towards you in that I am a sentimentalist and I kind of go into movies wanting to enjoy myself and wanting to like them.
Yeah.
And so this movie started at a 6 for me, but I felt like by the end, I really enjoyed all of the last maybe third or quarter of it. You know what I mean? And so I actually walked out and gave a review that was far more glowing than probably some of my comments on this episode will seem. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because then the high kind of wears off and you start thinking about it more and your curmudgeonly friends go see it and they give you their opinions. You're like, oh yeah, you know what? You're kind of right about that.
Sir Stabs a
And
lot
you start
over here.
thinking about the scenes more and then maybe rewatch the trailer and some scenes and see her delivery and stuff and break it down more. But yeah, just in case anyone was like, well, wait a second. He said this was the most amazing movie ever and now he's picking apart all these things. So
I think it's still an entertaining movie, but I have about 3 or 4 problems with it, and if they correct those, I probably would say it's a really good movie.
Well, before we get onto that, because there's more of it, did you have like one or two scenes that you was like, hey, I really like that?
The special effects were good. I liked
They
them.
were really good. The de-aging
pretty
thing,
good.
I kept thinking of your line that you said the other. I need one of those like screen bubbles around my head to take off like 30 years like they did with Samuel Jackson. Like he looked awesome in that movie the whole time.
yeah.
Yeah, he did look. They're de-aging.
And you don't. There's only a couple scenes where I thought they gave him a little too much hairline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like he's a significant character, lots of close-ups, and it's not distracting that they took off like 30 years from the guy.
I was on a long phone call today where we got talking about Marvel and DC movies, and I'm glad that this guy validated my feelings. I haven't talked about this, but he was saying like, I wish the DC movies could catch up with Marvel and their special effects because they're so good.
Yeah.
Their special effects are amazing, and their de-aging is just, it's unreal.
And DC did take a swing at it in Aquaman, if you recall.
took a
with,
swing,
Django Fett there.
Yeah,
The
they
de-aging.
foul tipped it, I think.
I really liked the I committed his name to memory. Now I forgot it. The guy who's always a bad guy. He was the bad guy in Ready Player One, the bad guy in Rogue One.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, Krennic from Rogue One. I don't remember his real name.
I can never remember his name. All I can ever remember is the line that constantly gets reused in memes and stuff, which is, farming, really? Man of your talents, you know? And then people will just replace that with, podcasting, really? Man of your talents, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I can never
Anyways, I loved him in this movie.
He's Australian, I think, originally.
Yeah.
Is he?
But,
So I was wanting to, I leaned over and told my wife she didn't hear me say it, so no one can verify that this is true, but I'm like, that's the guy from Rogue One. When he was still in full scroll
I couldn't
attire.
remember that. I was like, I know that voice. What's it from?
Yeah,
I
that's like
knew-
my wife and I claim that that's my legitimate superpowers that I can. His name is Ben Mendelsohn.
Mendelsohn, yeah. I knew going into it that was him, so I knew when I saw the face stuff on, but that
I didn't know he was in the movie.
that I was pleasantly surprised when he played himself
Yeah.
when he had taken over his boss's.
The boss.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought that was so cool. I don't think I've never seen him not perform well. He's a good actor, I think, and he plays villains so well. And I loved that his performance, and I loved that in the end that he wasn't. That was a unexpected plot twist that I really liked, actually, because I wasn't expecting it, and it added a lot to the storytelling.
I enjoyed it as well. Tell us what you thought,
think, Dave?
Marvel comic book fan.
Stabs a lot.
I
Steeped in canon and nerdery.
Sorely disappointed that they made the Skrulls.
I'm gonna have a heart
The
attack and
Skrulls
die of
are
surprise.
always the bad guys. Always, always. If you think they're not the bad guys, you're wrong. They are the bad guys.
Right.
So the fact that they weren't the bad guys, I'm like, what? You can't.
But the whole time I know. You're right. You are absolutely right. What you said, that is completely source material correct.
I don't know.
But the whole time I'm watching that movie, he's like, don't trust him. Don't trust him. Because he's the bad guy. Don't trust him. Yeah. When is he going to turn on you? So that, to me, that made the entire story fresh the whole time. Because I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop and he's going to backstab him.
It would have been cool if it was another race besides the Skrulls, but I'm like, that's almost the equivalent of like making Nazis the not bad guys in the movie. Like, no, they have to be the bad guys. Like Indiana Jones is fighting Nazis and be like, oh, you guys aren't the bad guys. These guys are the bad guys. No, they're still the bad guys. Like I don't know. I feel like for your true Marvelite fans out there to not make the Skrulls bad is like, well, we're disappointed. They're always the bad.
I don't know. I was totally okay with it. I mean, it was a surprise.
Well, then I know where your true allegiance lies.
And good storytelling. And it was good. I enjoyed, because it kept me on edge. And I think they don't want to have a huge Skrull storyline, I guess. And this was the way to introduce their characters and not have it be an overarching thing. I don't know. They could go somewhere else.
Still doesn't have to be a big overarching thing. You just make them the bad guys and then
in that movie, not use them again. Yeah, sure. Because that guy's always the bad guy. He's being the Skrulls who are always the bad guys. So the whole time, like, don't trust him, don't trust him, don't trust him. And it kept me on edge. And it kept me sharply interested throughout the rest of the movie. So for me, in this movie as a singular movie, that worked. But they could change it. They could say this was, because the Skrulls are a huge race of people. Like, not all humans are good. Like, Nazis are bad, and not Nazis are hopefully not bad, right? But so it could be one section of Skrulls that are good, and then we could come across a whole other.
I feel like it's ruined. They broke it. They broke the toy.
What I enjoyed,
they broke the new toy. You can't play with it anymore.
I broke my Wookiee
near the end when they're sitting around the table, and he makes the comment that he wishes he continued to be his boss. And how he loved his eyes, those baby blue eyes. He's basically complimenting himself.
I know, I love that. Everything with it, I totally love. And when he's talking about, so can you guys literally be anything? Like, can anybody be enemies?
That
like,
was really
technically,
good too.
Yeah, physiologically, yes. But dare I say it takes some practice, and dare I say talent? Like,
Which
I loved, because I felt like prior to that statement, there was something off with the guy faking to be Coulson in the car that ended up being a Skrull, and it was not the Ben Mendelsohn or however you say his name. It was one of the other Skrulls that was on the mission with him, and I was like, he doesn't look quite right. I think they're messing up the de-aging. No, it was just a Skrull being the guy, and he wasn't as good at it as he was. So I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but for me, I'm pretending like it was, and it's awesome.
I had this thought.
I don't really care. Oh, go ahead.
I had this thought about Coulson in this movie that brought this to mind, and I'd be curious.
I loved seeing him, by the way, again. I was
yes, it has to do with that. I wanted to ask you guys. I feel like Coulson is a character where, like Disney VHSs, if you keep him vaulted, you are super pumped when they come back out briefly, but you probably wouldn't want to see like an entire movie with Coulson. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I remember being really excited when he showed up on screen and then thinking like, why am I so excited about this guy? Like, why? He seems so awesome, and he sort of is awesome, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I don't know if I necessarily would put him in the
30
same...
minutes of him would be like, you'd be like, all right.
Well, they have done like,
exit.
several seasons of a little show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Which I wasn't able to get into. That's kind of why I thought that was like, oh, you know what? Like, yeah.
I didn't really care anything about, I don't know. I still was disappointed in the whole Skrull thing. I did enjoy seeing that actor kind of be a likable person, like not being a typical villain.
Yeah,
him. But
so
I would still have preferred to see Skrulls be the bad guy.
Okay,
playing a hero, really, man of your talents.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this though: did you like how they special affected and portrayed. Aside from them not being the bad, I mean, they were kind of the bad guy for a while.
Yeah, the way they changed those.
I like how the different scrolls looked different. Like when they de-scrolled themselves, like there was, they all weren't carbon copies of each other. I thought that was really cool.
I mean, who cares? But that's fine.
And I also like that. Well, no, but that's like one of those things that you don't necessarily count as imperfect, as important, but it makes the universe more real. If everyone's always the same, it makes it not just like how original Star Wars was the first space movie where things were dirty. And
I feel like you're talking about. Right? I appreciate that they didn't use the same car that everybody drove. I'm like, yeah, it's background stuff. I mean, that's fine. I'm glad that there were different types of cars.
It's window dressing that is important, and the same with the Kree. They had the different kinds of Kree, even full on different race people that were part of Kree, and that
let's just talk about the Kree for a second.
Okay,
Ronan with his war paint, impressive, cool bad guy. Yeah. Ronan without his face makeup, kind of boring and unintimidating.
There were several times where I couldn't tell if he was CG or real. I don't know why that was, but I was like,
there was times really like, is that the same guy even?
Because he has like lines he's got, in Guardians, right?
It's across there. Across the eyes and then like straight down from the eyeball straight down. Then back up to like a goatee right here. Like that.
There was something very pedestrian about all those scenes where he's talking to that guy, and I was like, I get that they're trying to inject like a little humor, almost like levity here, but it was like weirdly... Because you're remembering Guardians, and you're like, this guy's supposed to be like terrifying.
He's a major tough guy. Yeah, major tough guy. I mean, he was going to challenge Thanos, right?
Yeah. So I think what it was. Yeah, I totally pick up with what you're saying. Agree, but I think maybe since this is earlier in his story arc by however many years, maybe he hadn't become as radicalized, I guess, yet.
Oh, he hadn't discovered makeup yet.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. Face paint wasn't in trend yet. It was out of season.
YouTube tutorials.
That's right. Yeah.
So let me ask you guys
that might be a weak counterpoint.
Is disappointed, as I am.
Nobody.
They never once call her Captain Marvel. You named the movie that after her. There wasn't another character named Captain Marvel. It's her. And they never address her as Captain
Were you
Marvel.
hoping that at the end she was going to like dive up out of the water with her trident and look directly into the camera and say, because I'm Captain Marvel. And then do the Pantene hair wave, like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to know how she got those curls to stay in her hair those several days she spent on Earth. That was amazing. Going on a bike ride on a motorcycle and still have those curls in your hair, that is impressive.
The fight scene on the train where she got a little roughed up looking, and then when the old lady gets away from her, change or something for a minute, and then she walks to the next car and her hair and makeup are back to perfect again. I don't even notice that stuff generally, but I looked at my wife like, I noticed her hair is all of a sudden super nice. Like,
where was the continuity person when they were filming this?
Exactly. Yeah. But was nobody else disappointed? I feel like
just comment on girls' hair.
At some point, you have, if you're going to call the movie Captain Marvel, if that's her name, at some point, you have to call her that. Or is in Endgame, when she's in Endgame, are they going to be like, is she magically, I'm Captain Marvel. Well, how are you Captain Marvel?
I feel like it's a fine art, which, to their credit,
we just mocked him saying, I'm Aquaman. Now you're saying we didn't say, fine line. Like you're saying, we got to pick a side. You can't
to have that moment and have it not be cheesy.
Exactly.
Because there are some names that are a little bit cheesy, and they have done all these things where they've had like somebody say the first part and the silence finishes the sentence, all that kind of thing. They didn't have it at all here, and I guess I wonder if it was like the origin story. They decided, let's do something different. Let's not have somebody say it directly, or
I feel every movie they've done it right. Iron Man kind of came up with the media dubbed him Iron Man, and he started using the name. And by the end of the movie, it's like one of the last lines. He's like, "I'm Iron Man," like that. You know,
Iron Man.
And then I forget how Captain America gives him. I think the media again they dub him Captain America, but he embraces the name, the symbolic name, and he embraces it and starts calling himself Captain America. And
in the same wheelhouse as that kind of a thing happening, they did do that with the Avengers Initiative when he's typing the thing at the end.
Yeah.
Like, again, you didn't see him type it, but you knew what he was typing. It's that same kind of scene where you're being very heavy-handed and all that, and it's interesting, like you say, that they didn't do that with her.
I just feel like the writing team should have at some point like, hey guys, we have to come up with a way for her to come up with and have the name Captain Marvel, because that is her name. It's the title of the movie.
Yeah.
And it not be cheesy.
I did not notice that it was missing at all.
Pop up with her glowing hand. Because I'm Captain Marvel. At the end of the video, I was like, well, they never call her. They say Marvel after the other lady. But I'm like,
well, maybe they considered that little spat where he says Marvel and she corrects him and says Marvel to be enough.
And maybe that's how they're going to lead it into her somehow mentioning the name of the ex. But I feel like when it's the title of the movie, you have to say it.
When your character's name is a little bit over the top, I feel like somebody else has to give you the name. You can't be declaring yourself that name. Or
no one said.
Almost always.
I didn't
falls
say
flat.
she has to declare it herself.
I know, but I'm just saying. I'm saying, how do we do it right? We're talking about
she has
fine
to get
line.
the name in the movie, and she never did.
Yeah. I'm just saying, there's that fine line when your name is Captain something. It's better if somebody else labels you that rather than you declare yourself it. And I'm glad she didn't say because I'm Captain Marvel, because I don't think there's that line.
Well, that's the joke that at the end of Aquaman, right? Because I'm Aquaman, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it's very plausible. I think that she's a captain, and usually it's quite common to have the rank of captain if you're a pilot in the Air Force.
In a movie.
Yeah, in a movie. Anyway, so and if she's Miss Captain Marvel, I don't know. It's a small leap for it to get there, but I did, like I said,
if you're flying a plane in the Air Force, you're at least a captain. That is typical. That's correct.
Yeah. So it's a small jump for her to get the name, I guess, later. But I didn't even notice it was missing. But you think it would happen somewhere?
I read a fan theory online that I wanted to make sure we got on tape because we are recording on reel-to-reel.
Tape. Yes.
Just in case it ends up going this way in some way, we can look back and say that was interesting. Where somebody said that they theorized that in Endgame, again, this is all hypothesis, so no spoilers. We don't know anything. That Captain America is going to die. Everybody's going to be sorely missing him, and she's going to take the name, the title, Captain Marvel, and sort of as an homage to him almost, and that's going to be the triggering event. It's a little thin, I know, but I thought it was interesting enough that we went through the entire movie without them saying it, and then the next movie is.
Well, I hope she doesn't take it. I hope if that's the case, I want someone to give it to her because nobody says I'm going to put on the boots of Captain America. You don't do that. Respect.
Well, it would need to be
elders.
almost like be Cap while he's dying or something. You know what I mean?
Come on.
I'm going to say right now. I hope. I realize that Endgame is several actors' last movie, but I still hope that we don't see the death of those characters. There needs to be some other resolution, but not the death of them.
There's going to be some dead. There's going to be some dead. They're going to be some dead. So you kind of already started. So some of the connections to the other Marvel movies that you talk about. So when Nick Fury is typing, and instead of calling it the Protector Initiative, he changes it to the Avenger Initiative when he sees her call name as Avenger on her plane.
Yeah.
You saw that at the end. Yeah. Some people have mixed feelings, that she's the first Avenger. Then I'm like, no, she's not. I mean, they never, I know Captain America made his movie was called First Avenger, and he would have been the first person that Nick Fury would have been looking for, a special individual with special powers to be able to. So he would have been still fit. I don't know. It doesn't bother me that he called it after her call sign. I don't think that unmakes Captain America the first.
No,
Avenger.
She's the precursor to him starting the Avenger Initiative,
but
she's not a member of that group.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Who's to say he wasn't looking at Avenger? That's a cool name. Oh, that reminds me of Captain America, who found this Tesseract in the first place. Right. That's what we should call this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyways, that didn't bother me, but that's one of the connections to the rest of the Marvel universe was that name and Avenger and all that stuff. Did you have strong feelings with that being called after? It was a thing.
I wouldn't have written it that way. If I was at the table, I'd have been like, let's not do that. But I'm fine with it. Whatever.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because those were one of the connections they made. One I missed, but my son pointed out to me, was that Project Pegasus in some of the Iron Man movies, when he's going through his dad's old projects, there was a box labeled Project Pegasus. So Tony Stark's dad was also involved with it, I guess.
Apparently. He was involved in everything. It's just one of those comic book things where
Stark family.
Oh, there was some old military/weapon experiment. Howard Stark.
Yeah, Howard Stark. Well, but he was the one with the scuba thing that found the Tesseract in the ocean. It's not. If anyone would have been experimenting on him, it would. I mean, who else at the time? Yeah. So, anyways, if he had been on it long enough to call it Project Pegasus, I don't know. Anyways, the other tie-ins where you saw the Korath and Ronin characters. We talked about Ronin showing up. His character did seem less menacing, but maybe he's going on his own character arc too. But you could tell Jude Law's character, which I'm forgetting his name in the movie, he like didn't want to go to Ronin because he thought he was a nut job. He went to him like
he's still supposed to be an extremist in the Kree circles. Right?
Yeah. So like you could tell that like they didn't break that. Like he's still the extremist version, even if they didn't get the makeup right on him. So I think that was okay, and it was kind of cool to see the Korath character. If you'd remember him from Guardians of the Galaxy, he's the guy who later on. So he's apparently been on an arc. So he starts with the more traditional Kree and ends up with Ronin.
Oh, Jimon Honzu.
However you say his name, he's like, I am laughing on the inside.
That guy,
that whole scene with the different soldiers was hilarious.
He's a character in 2 different Captain Marvel movies now. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah.
There's another Captain Marvel movie?
Shazam's real name is Captain Marvel.
Oh.
And he is Shazam, the wizard Shazam. In there.
Dude, He is
yeah.
also the guy who busts Peter Quill at the beginning of Guardians.
That's what I'm saying. That's the same character.
He's that Kree warrior
right.
that
is the same Marvel character in both movies. So he's apparently gone from being a traditional Kree soldier to being an extremist, now working for Ronin. But we're seeing a prequel of him now, right? But in the meantime, he's got some mental implant put in his brain, and he's trying to calm Ronin down from picking a fight with Thanos by the time we first see him, right? But now, before he's been trained and with the traditional Kree army.
Right.
So it's kind of cool to see him.
And then when Shazam comes out, you will see his eventual evolution to a wizard with magical powers that he bestows upon Billy Batson.
Say my name. Shazam. Wait, are you serious? Say my name.
Carol Danvers.
So, yeah. So for those who don't know, there's a little bit of a sidebar here some people might find interesting, but Shazam was originally called Captain Marvel. We mentioned before there was a lawsuit by DC and eventually won the lawsuit and then bought once Captain Marvel or Shazam.
It didn't have anything to do with the name. The lawsuit was about
But anyways,
a clone of Superman.
Then when they got the rights to do him and they introduced the character again, if they called him Captain Marvel, it started getting confused because Captain Marvel was not a Marvel character. And so they stopped using the name Captain Marvel and started using Shazam. Just for
everyone called him Shazam all the time, anyways. I mean, that was his catchphrase. Shazam.
Yeah.
So people would just say. So I think they just all right. People call him Shazam. Let's call him.
And
Shazam.
it's gonna be So, anyways, interesting little tidbit there. But that's funny that you said that too. Captain Marvel movies. Okay, another tie into the universe as we know it. This Marvel Cinematic was we finally figured out how Nick Fury lost his eye.
Mm-hmm. A lot of debate about this online, I will say, on places like Reddit. Yeah.
What did you guys think about that?
The 2 camps are, okay, here's the 2 camps. I'd be interested to know which ones you fall into, okay?
Okay, go.
Camp 1 is Nick Fury is an uber tough guy. We are both afraid and admiring of him. This is a totally lame way for him to lose his eye. I did not like it. Camp 2 is Nick Fury has consistently exhibited a willingness to allow people to think what they want to think, and this fits perfectly in with his character and lines previously like, the last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye. So, where do you fall, gentlemen?
I'm both. I initially thought like, no way, that's how he's going to lose his eye? He's all those different things. But when Coulson comes up later, so did you really lose your eye when they were resisting it? And he's like, I can neither confirm nor deny that. Then I was like, I freaking love that. Because that is class. Like, that is exactly what you do. Because he does not confirm nor deny. He doesn't say what it was, but he allows it to like.
So you're okay. So you're okay with some of his toughness being a little bit of showmanship, if you will.
Well, I mean, he is a tough guy, but like, it wasn't necessarily showman. He's just, he's giving a truthful
there's a little
answer.
bravado right there.
I can neither confirm nor. Well, he doesn't want them to know that this cat is an alien. Right, so he can't tell them that the cat is an alien and scratched his eye.
I do feel like it was a disappointing way for him to lose his eye.
Yeah.
I mean, you expect some amazing story of some awesome epic fight, right? And then it's just like,
well, he's like, it's just a scratch. The guy's like, dude, that's not just going to be a scratch.
I guess I feel like that falls into one of those categories. I'm like, oh, that's fine, whatever. I don't.
Yeah. So I could see some really strong
story.
People. Got to chill out. Like I said, some people went into all these outside motivations and politics. Just let stuff go. If that really bothered you because it's a huge break from your perceived character of Nick Fury. Okay, I mean, I guess I'm not that tied to the source material of Nick Fury, but the fact that he's like, I can neither confirm nor that's when it sold it for me. I'm like, that's freaking awesome. I was totally okay with it. I was like, I kind of wish he had lost it in another way, but that line brought enough of a chuckle to me that I'm okay with it. So
Nice.
How about you? I mean, you brought it up. What did you?
Mine is a little bit more specific. The part that bothered me was the way that in the moment when it happened, that he was saying, "Oh, it's just a scratch." Like, if your eye is permanently damaged, blinded, in the moment,
You're like, oh,
yeah, the red alert is going off.
I think they did make, because I thought that too. I'm like, well, that's obviously not it. It wouldn't be a scratch. But I think they made it like, it must have been like, and I don't know this about the character. They didn't expound upon it, but he made it. There was a couple lines where he was like, it was hurting worse. Like, it must have, maybe they have
like
it
infected
venom
or something.
Yeah,
but
but
that's
almost like it was a scratch that got
the
worse.
alien.
And did end up losing
The alien's
his
like,
sight.
dude, that's not going to be just a scratch. Like,
Right. It wasn't
And I-
expounded upon, and so it just
Yeah.
kind of left me feeling like, I don't know what just like
That
what
can't
just
be it,
happened.
They
Like,
inserted that quick like line or two to kind of cover themselves. Say, okay, it seems like it's getting worse. It's hurting him worse, so
Yeah.
he might lose his eye here.
yeah. Well, when you're who knows what funk that
Exactly.
not cat had on its
Yeah,
claws, right?
exactly,
So
yeah.
it could have just been a scratch that got wicked bad infected and didn't heal like
Exactly.
a scratch
Right.
of that side
I
normally
mean,
would have.
tentacles came out of his mouth. Who knows what else
Also-
those coming out of the claws? right?
Exactly, right? So it's all conceivable. You can have a problem with it or you can be all right with it either way. It's fine by me. If you have a problem with it, it's fine. But humor solves so many problems for me. So,
Yeah.
It
It was good.
Okay. So I will say, you may recall when we reviewed one of the trailer episode for this, like they have to explain something for me. And this is the biggest beef I have with this movie is Nick Fury has a pager to this crazy backup powerful person that he can summon for help if they're having big problems. It's like, don't call just for no reason. They have to explain why he hasn't used it before. And I keep playing over my head. Let me lay back on my couch and you guys psychoanalyze this for me. But I have to me, this is almost feels like they tried to stitch her in, like she wasn't maybe necessarily even really intended to be part of their tapestry of characters getting woven together, and they're sort of forcing it. Because if you have a pager that can call someone like Captain Marvel in to save your planet from powers beyond its,
like when Loki's coming through a portal into New York
exactly,
City.
when a portal from another world and aliens are gushing out of it and taking and really bloodying your nose, and you have no idea if your team of Avengers are going to do anything besides beat each other up, because that's all you've seen them do. Like, he has no idea if they're going to say or any of the other huge things that have happened. Why is it that he didn't push it then, but he sees people disappear, a helicopter smash into a wall, and then he thinks instantly to grab this pager? Like, he doesn't even know.
I don't have a problem
He
with
doesn't
that.
know who Thanos is. He doesn't know what a finger snap is because he didn't see any of that. They
That's
don't even know
the
where
thing
Stark
that bothers
was.
me.
So
I think
why,
you can tell, though, in that situation, he could tell, like, this is a global level event happening. I need to text something, I need to have something
I don't
happening.
think- in the
There's a
2
difference between,
second-
hey, this jerk's invading our place. We're just going to fight him. There's a difference between,
man, I
people
so
are
don't feel
disappearing
that
left
way.
and right, and I can tell this isn't happening just on my street like that. Like,
How could he tell? He didn't know. It was literally
I feel
happening.
like you
We
kind of
saw
get
the
that,
whole
You
scene.
kind of get that vibe when you see helicopters falling, and you see, like, I don't think this is happening just on my street.
But
this
from
is a big
his
deal. This is a big event.
perspective, what he saw, because we saw everything he saw in terms of ignorance to the moment of realization, right?
So for those who don't, we're talking about the very, very end scene of Infinity War.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you compare what he experienced there to what he experienced in the Battle of New York, or I wouldn't say the Sokovia events because that's like an AI entity. I wouldn't think he would use it for that.
Yeah.
Some of the really any of the Thor related stuff, when you're at that power level, Loki, Thor, all that sort of thing. Yeah, it does kind of beg the question, like, why wouldn't he,
Or at least like pager and be like, hey, gravity and other planets, gravity's changing. I can see other planets through holes in our sky. This seems like something I need help with. Alien, another alien invasion. These dark elves start showing up. Like,
and there's also the logic of if he knows he's about to bite the dust. Oh, but why is that the
I
moment?
think that's the difference, though. I think the difference is Maria Hill had just faded away, and he thought maybe he had that feeling, that Spider-Man, that like, I think I'm next. If I'm not going to be around, I need someone that's known me this long that would know how I think, maybe, or I need someone
no.
else
If he knows
real soon.
he's ever going to push that button, he's got to push it before he dies. And if he could feel it coming on, he's got to push it, because even if
that's what he did. He pushed it.
Maybe that helps. That helps, because if you feel like, even if this isn't as big an event as Loki's invasion, if I don't ever push this button, she's never going to come back.
Yeah.
And I can't solve this problem. But
maybe he would have pushed it in Loki's invasion if he felt like, okay, the Avengers are losing and I'm going to die. I'm going to call now.
It does have an element of somewhere in the later phases they decided to make this movie and put this in. It does have a little bit of the Harry Potter and the Elder Wand and the other thing magically coming in the last book and being a huge deal out of nowhere. It's got that kind of vibe where it's like, it works and it's kind of cool, but I get this sense that if you were planning this from moment one, you would have shown that pager in the background in like a vault of his a few times or something like that.
I could see them.
The tapestry feels patched rather than woven masterfully.
I could
just
see them,
a little.
I could see them saying, "Look, we are introducing characters slowly. We are going to wait until this point to introduce Captain Marvel."
But I'm saying, if this was part of the plan, like think about how early they showed like
Adam Warlock. They showed Adam Warlock like 4 movies ago, and he's a important character in the Thanos story arc, and they still haven't shown him proper.
The Thanos hints go like way back.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I don't know.
I think it was planned still, and I could be wrong, but because it was so
everything
cool,
is planned, but this seems
so cool when he did drop the pager, and you're like, oh, "That's the Captain Marvel symbol. That's awesome!" Like that, to have this new thing to look forward to.
No, but in the moment you were hoping it was going to be somebody else's symbol. You were hoping it was going to be.
Well, I didn't know who it was going to be, but when it was Captain Marvel's, I was like, "That's cool too."
Okay, I remember you were hoping it was going to be somebody else. I can't remember who you were hoping. Anyways,
yeah, I think I was hoping. Oh, Nova. I was thinking it was going to be Nova
Corps. That would have fit. Yeah, Nova is a cool character.
Which I would think that's cooler, honestly. But
which is what you said before too. But you know what's wrong with that is, Anyways, so they have another female character. Now, one of the other beefs that I've heard people share about this movie, I want to get your take on it too, is that she's too OP, overpowered, right? And one of the concerns I had, that there were statements out there, "Oh, she's the most powerful Marvel character that we've introduced." I think is a quote from Kevin Feige, and which rubbed me the wrong way hearing that official statement, because I'm like,
well, it's absolutely not true. Captain Marvel is not the most powerful.
For those of you that are not in the room, he's currently wearing a Thor shirt right now. So,
and if you this is where it goes. I go back to. Where you guys like to make fun of me, but like if you look up her power set, she is not the physically strongest. She's not the most powerful at all.
No, but she is strong and she is powerful.
Strong, but now if you go to the true origin of Captain Marvel, she at one point became a character named Binary, and Binary was off the charts powerful, like cosmic level. You can't mess with her. But this is not Binary. This is Captain Marvel, and she has limitations, and which are far under, probably close to. I would say she's equal to Iron Man in his best suit, and her. That's a fair fight.
Wow.
I would put her over Iron Man just because the suit can be broken, but you can't.
But I'm saying it's a fair fight. He could probably win that fight. I would even say this: her versus Captain America. Captain America could take her down.
Wow.
No. He's the underdog, but I would say he probably could do it.
Yeah, well, we always say that about Cap because we love Cap. Cap can take anybody. He's always got a puncher's chance.
Because he's Captain America.
Exactly. Because I'm Batman. Exactly. Okay, all right. But
it's a fair fight, Iron Man. The suit can be broken, but she's not invincible and vulnerable. I mean, he could...
I enjoyed...
She like pile drived her way through a spaceship. She's pretty invulnerable.
Well, that's where I say I'm talking about real, not their version of overpowered. She's not that
But
strong.
I haven't read many Captain Marvel comics. In fact, I've read very little. But seeing her turn the ship into Swiss cheese totally seems like something that she could do in her, like you could see her doing in one of the comic books, like punching through, which is exactly what Thor did, by the way, during the Battle of Wakanda, when he comes back with Stormbreaker and he's not finding Thanos, and he's like, all right, well, I'm just going to take out one of these big ships, and he just flies through, throws his new weapon through a bunch and Stormbreaker, and then decides himself to just fly through and crack them. So it's like a Thor level. I don't need to fight dudes. I can fight flying ships.
Wielding this god level weapon,
Yeah.
right? That will take down
Yeah,
ships.
so they definitely kind of, and there was the one trailer, like some heroes are born, Thor, some heroes are made, Captain America, some heroes are whatever they said for Iron Man, and some are all of the above, and it was her. They're trying to like set her above those three, which I think is a mistake. Make someone awesome of their own accord. Don't put other people down to make yourself great. It usually doesn't. You're gonna
that
rub people the wrong
backfires.
way.
I mean, Captain Marvel
backfires.
is a good character, and I like her in the comics. But you can't OP that person. You can't belittle other heroes
By
to try to make
belittling,
them seem
like,
better.
yeah.
That's a mistake.
So I don't know. Did you feel like they overpowered her? Were you okay with it? I like that when it started off and she's not flying. I kept like, she's totally a flying character. Why is she not flying in this movie? And so they gave her a little bit of an arc there where she realizes they're not giving it to her. They've always been.
All she had to do was tear off the nicotine patch.
Nicotine patch and get it off. Okay,
Yeah.
which apparently is easier to take off than the one Thor had on in Ragnarok.
I enjoyed the power jump. Maybe I was coming off of the lack of power jump at the end of Glass, as we discussed, but like I enjoyed, like we're in phase 3 here. Is this technically phase 4? It's phase 3, right? Still end of phase 3? Is that the whole? Anyway,
I don't know.
we've come this far. The power does need to increase. That amazing moment in Infinity War when Thor comes down, man.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest moments in that movie, right?
Man, you guys are
So-
so
There needed to
screwed
be a power
now.
increase
Yeah.
because I was thinking the whole time, like, why is she only blasting? Her whole body is energy. Why are they? I kept thinking like, when is this going to happen? And then it finally did, but I just felt like then they went a little like, over the top. Like, all right.
Okay, so here's the other thing. I'm a complete. Okay, last episode, what did I say? I was a terrible something. Chauvinist pig. This time, I'm a big hypocrite because I kept thinking, like, wait, that's how she got her powers? Like, I had a super hard problem with it because, not that they made her that powerful, but I'm like, wait a second. She got exposed to an explosion of energy that was similar to, it wasn't even the Tesseract or the Space Stone. And that changed her that much? Like,
That's not that far from her real origins. They exposed her to some machine and she absorbed it and became part Kree, part human. And so it's not that far from her actual origin. So I was fine with that.
I know, but like, like I don't have a problem with the dude flying in tights for no reason or a radioactive spider giving someone powers, but that like changed his DNA, so he's fundamentally different. Like, there's like an energy input. Power is conserved. This is my stupid engineering background. Like, that explosion had X amount of energy, but she now becomes unlimited energy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, it is stupid that I got caught
that's
up in
what-
that, but it was just like, okay, does she run out of it? Like, why does this
It
suddenly...
would make more sense if it was the Tesseract itself. I think about the scene with the Collector and his like assistant or whatever goes over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she just like
explodes, right?
Like a
Was the
similar
energy
sort of-
derived from the Tesseract? Because didn't they find it on her ship? Where did they find the
They
Tesseract?
didn't really
in?
explain that though, which bothered me as well.
But-
She's like, "Oh no, this isn't the energy source. That's back in my lab." And I'm like,
Yeah.
So what's the connection here? Like, you have wireless power source going
No,
on here?
she
Like,
siphoned off just like Red Skull's scientists got some of the energy in those guns
Like a
in the
little
first
piece off
Avenger.
and-
Yeah, some way she transfers using some energy from it to do its thing.
But they covered it with like, this is an unknown light speed engine with a
yeah,
new
yeah.
unknown energy source that I
Yeah.
can't tell you about. So they kind of covered it with like.
I do
don't know
like
what
that
I
it was a
feel
Tesseract. But I'm like, how were they sitting on this power source this long without messing up and trying to do something else with it? And it turns out, they were. Because that was actually kind of a little back of my mind beef.
Yeah.
Like, the government would not just be they're not going to give this the Ark of the Covenant treatment like in Indiana Jones. They're
Yeah.
going to keep messing with this, right? So it shows that they were messing with it. And I actually liked that part. But is that weird that bothered me? I mean, I don't know. Just tell me to get over it.
you need to get over
You
it.
need to get
Thanks.
over it.
I'm gonna, guys,
It bothered me.
I'm just going to get
more.
over it.
I go back a little bit more to I feel like, and it's not. This is just me. They don't have to write it this way, right? I give them permission to continue. But yeah,
They have been waiting.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I like the movies when they have to sort of prove their worthiness to hold their powers, kind of thing, right? And I
Totally love that.
She never did that to me. She never really. I mean, there was a small part where they like showed her getting back up after she fails, that she keeps trying, which is good. Which
I
is
love
good.
that. I loved seeing that.
Which is
Even as a
good.
little kid, she had this never quit kind of Captain America.
That's a good message for anybody, right? Girls
Yeah.
or boys. But I kind of felt like I didn't get this big, like, she's been through the trial to earn this. I guess I didn't really get that.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. It can be different that way because
doesn't have
it was
to.
just an accident. She wasn't trying to get the power. She wasn't trying, and she just has it, and now she's got to live with it.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I liked that they showed when she's missing. Let's pick some new colors. I can't wear the Kree colors. I thought that was a cool homage to the different rebirths of her character, even the green and white suit, and just the different messing with the blue, gold, and red. I thought that was kind of cool to kind of go through the different suits a little bit. I really like that. It seems weird that she got her memory back and didn't. I feel like there's more backstory. Like she hugged her one friend and now she's good. Like, what about your family?
Yeah, I don't remember if they said
Nothing. Like she remembers, and then it's like, oh, I should maybe go tell my mom, Happy Mother's Day for the last 6 years that I missed.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should have at least explained.
Which would have been a very
comics-
human thing to do to make you connect with her. In
the comics, I think she was not close to her dad at all because her dad did not like girls, and then her brother's dead. So I maybe it was supposed to be she doesn't have any family anymore, but they should have said that.
Yeah, but then again, a tragic thing that you could sympathize.
Yeah.
So it's just anyways. But the action, the fighting, the end, I thought was good. Good action.
It was all right.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Yeah,
Dan?
it's a Marvel movie. I mean, all of that stuff is very well done. You know what I mean? Like again, I go in and part of it really was, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, it just walking into the theater just reminds you of how badly you want to see Endgame, and you just can't wait for it to come, and you're like, they're just going to give me this little trickle feed, and I will take it gladly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And I will say this movie suffers from the fact that it's sort of falling between Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
And I expect something big and awesome. And this movie was good, but not big and awesome.
It's like
and that's what I'm waiting for. It is sort of how it's the middle child between these, and I'm just like, okay, you get out of the way so I can see your big brother in game coming towards us like that. Yeah.
It's like you're sitting on your friend invites you over for a steak dinner and insists you try their appetizer before they give you the steak.
Exactly.
You're like, I just want the steak.
Yeah.
No, but this Brussels sprout recipe is really good.
I'm like,
It could
is
be,
good,
but I just want.
It's good, but I need that.
Yeah,
Like,
right, yeah.
I need the next thing right there. It's fine, but I need that.
Yeah. You're right. That's actually really insightful.
Yeah.
I like that.
So,
So-
it might be suffering. Probably if this came out like 2 years ago, I might be like, this movie's amazing.
Yeah. Spacing of it. So you, Dave, out of 10. Mr. Stabs a lot. Sorry, out of 10.
I think my first rating is a 7, and I think I'll probably stick with a 7.
Yeah.
I could probably even dip to like a 6.8, but I'll go to 7.
Okay. But Nathaniel?
when I first walked out of the theater, I said at the beginning of this movie, it was a 6 for me. It started out with a low score and then ramped all the way up to what I felt like was a high 8. So I gave it an 8.9 plus a 0.1. We know why.
No Matt Damon cameo that throws you out, unlike the Stan Lee cameos.
But again, it's one of those things where the more you think about it after, the more these things occur to you, and it kind of like temper the score a little bit. So I think it's probably in the low 8s for me now. Is where I would land it. And just in case anyone's interested.
Okay, you go. You got to finish your thought.
I just looked it up because I was curious. Currently, as of today, a couple weeks after it came out, critics score on Rotten Tomatoes is at 79%.
Oh, that went up.
And the audience score is at 62%.
Stayed the
That
same.
makes me curious.
That does not
Is
sit
that
well. That does not sit well comparing to
Lower
other
than
Marvel.
all the other ones? Is it lower than Dark World?
I'm
That'd
trying
be
to pull
interesting
it
to
up.
know.
I have
I bet it is. I bet it's more than
my
Dark World.
computer went to sleep.
Matt Damon did the voice of the cat. I just heard that. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
He's everywhere. Oh, yeah.
So
He does the at the end, right?
yeah, he does. I mean, he could do it.
They paid him $500,000
It's in
for
his
that.
range.
Yeah, it's in his range. He
Yeah,
could totally he could pull it off.
Oh, man.
Okay. So, before we close, my rating. I think a 7 is good for me too. So I kind of
What? I expected a full 8 from you. You're raving about it.
No.
You're
But here's
catching
why.
me
I mean, yeah. So let me kind of justify it. I because you told me that you didn't like the beginning. I didn't know why or whatever. I enjoyed the beginning. So for me, a 6 is I liked it. 7, willing to watch it again happily. 8, I have to buy this so I can watch it at will. 9, I want to and will watch it repeatedly because I'm like quasi addicted to it. 10, changed my life in some way. Like I really, really, really like.
That's a good rating because I would watch it again, but I'm not like, oh, I need to watch it again.
Right.
I feel like we need to like write those down in a chart so we can reference those for the rest of our reviews.
Right.
I didn't ask my wife her rating. Oh, sorry. Do you want to finish?
Yeah, if you don't mind. So for me, a 7. Like I would like if I let my boys go watch it before I watch it, just because someone needed to stay home with the kids. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, I would totally watch this again with like if I had to go take them to go, and I'd be happily go do it. And I'm definitely gonna buy it because I've got all the Marvel movies, so I gotta have this one, right? But if I just want to have a good time, watch a good Marvel movie, it wouldn't be necessarily like in my top 5. Like I there's a lot of really good. Like if it's gonna be a super just for kicks and giggles and fun, Guardian of the Galaxy is going in. Thor Ragnarok's going in, right? Yeah. If I want a super good, heart wrenching,
good stories,
I'm
Iron
probably
Man, Captain
gonna
America.
Or Thor. I love the Thor 1. I know some people didn't, but I loved Thor 1 for that very reason. You know what I'm saying? If I want one of the greatest movies of all time, I put in Infinity War, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's not in the top of, you know what I'm saying? The top of that heap, but it's a definitely good, enjoyable movie. Maybe just because I've seen all these other ones that I'm comparing. It's in a crowded field of excellent movies to try and compare it to all of those. But
so this one's only going in the player if you're doing a marathon. Is that basically what you're saying? Like if I'm going through all the movies again?
Yeah. Or, if like my wife's in the mood to watch it, I bet we don't let our kids watch PG-13 movies until they're 13. It's a hard rule in our house. It's a hard one to keep, especially these movies. There's really hard anything wrong with them, but you draw the line and you can't cross it. Anyways, or it's nothing but work all the time. Anyways, but like my little girls, I could see them wanting to watch it again. I'd be like, yeah, an easy talk. You could talk me into watching this movie, and like, yeah, we could. Yeah. I wouldn't be like, ugh. Like if my wife has to watch Pride and Prejudice, I'm like, oh, I think I have to go die. I'm really busy right now. I can't do it.
So I wanted to throw this in. My wife is not really an action movie aficionado. She likes sad British shows. But I took her to this, and so I would tend to think that the action would affect her more, right? I mean, I like action movies, so maybe I'm a little jaded to it, right?
Right.
Maybe.
Anyway, you're desensitized to blaster fists.
I built up a little tolerance to some action movies, so it needs to be good action for me. And even my wife a little bit in this movie says, I was a little bored sometimes.
Yeah.
There's
so for her to say that means something.
There's no audience score below 70.
Even the Dark World?
Yep. Not even Dark World.
Wow.
So that one, the audience score was 77.
I would feel bad. I know that we talked about this. I would feel bad if people were rating negatively, thinking it was some sort of a girl power feminist movie, because it's not.
To be fair, there is a percentage here of males that for whatever reason, for reasons, speeches she gave and comments she made, formed an opinion, like you said, before the movie even came out. Then Rotten Tomatoes went back and scrubbed a lot of those
there's a
reviews.
whole scandal behind this that we're not talking about.
But since the movie came out, some of those have probably come and dinged the score.
Yeah,
so it's probably safe to say that this is occupying the same space as like Thor Dark World, though. Like it's, I don't think I've ever heard anybody walk out of a Marvel movie and say, that was terrible. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they're all like, that was good, but you know what I mean? So
I would just feel bad if people are judging the movie based on maybe her earlier comments, or even if they're just there, whatever. I mean,
that was part of the scandal.
I love the strong women in the Marvel Universe, right? I mean, I could say one of my favorite characters is Gamora. I love Gamora. Yeah. She's awesome in the movie. I could probably watch more movies. I could probably watch a Gamora standalone movie. But
and we've all been waiting around for the standalone Black Widow movie, which interestingly has never happened.
Hey, have you heard? Actually, they cast someone. I think they cast someone to be. It's just not Scarlett. What's her name?
Oh, really?
There's some younger girl, but I thought I saw her and I was like, she looks like she could do it. And I'm sort of excited for a Black Widow standalone movie if they're really going to do it.
They're doing like a
very cool
quasi reboot type thing with a different actress.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be maybe a origin story prequel type thing. But I just saw.
That confirms it. The first 3 phases were the best.
Yeah, I mean, but I would love a Black Widow story because I love the Black Widow character. She's.
I just feel like with her though, she's totally earned it. Obviously, I mean,
she has, but I mean, she's old. She's what is she 35? I mean, I'm not kidding.
Oh my god. I honestly feel like they made up for that. Both the fact that they don't have any more standalone Hulk movies and there is no Black Widow movie because Avengers 2 was essentially they got a ton. All the actors who don't have their own standalone movie got a lot more camera time in that movie. Hawkeye got a lot of camera time. He even got introduced to his family. Black Widow and Hulk having a love relationship, which was a totally new twist on their characters. They made up for that by giving them lots of screen time.
I still would watch a Black Widow movie.
Oh, I totally would too. Yeah. I totally would too. But I almost feel like that's not Hawkeye. I don't. She's not suffering from screen time. People, okay? Yeah. They gave her in a movie crowded with excellent writing and excellent actors and excellent characters. She got a ton of screen time.
Scarlett Johansson, I think, is. I mean, she's not going to take a movie where she doesn't get to do a lot of talking, right? And she's going to get paid enough to we better justify her pay.
Yeah, well, everybody. You could say that about everybody in those movies. But anyways, Endgame trailer came out that I refused to watch until I had seen this movie. There's the new drop, and there's the scene at the end of the trailer that I just got to mention before we wrap this up. So it shows again.
That's our show, guys. Thanks. Barfs up the Tesseract.
Oh, yeah. That does sound like something he would do.
Yeah.
He did sneak that eye out of that. Yeah. The eye that Thor has.
But
someplace private.
Yeah. So, but we said before, you don't put other people things down to lift somebody up because you're going to rub people the wrong way. Like the previous trailer kind of almost was sort of doing when they're trying to introduce Captain Marvel. But now this trailer, it's all about the main 3 that we all have loved now for 10 years. Captain America, Thor, Iron Man. And you see how it's kind of...
Black Widow and Hawkeye. They're in there too.
Yeah, but they focus on those 3 characters the most.
Well, you certainly did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my man crush powers was on override. But yeah, it showed it showed all the kids, but then it shows her at the end, and this is how you get people so it shows Thor kind of meeting her, and they're kind of staring each other down, both having a measuring each other up moment, but enjoying it at the same time. And he summons his Stormbreaker. That's a bit much. To him, and he's like, I like this one, right? That's when people you already love someone, then you like that character, right? Thor likes her. Now that makes me want to like her more. So I loved that little
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I was going to say his endorsement did nothing to improve my acceptance meter.
But it's better than her and this is, I wouldn't be surprised if this happens in the movie where she's already had an introduction to him where she's because this, like I said this lots of times, when you want to introduce a character and show that he's a bad, tough guy, you have him pick a fight with the biggest guy in the playground. And so it happens all the time in the comics. They'll introduce a new character, and the first thing they'll do is have him punch Thor or Hulk and send him flying across the room or something whoa, that was a mean right cross, to introduce the character as strong. So I almost could see that happening after they've already, crossed sabers, so to speak, in some sort of battle. And he's like, I want to remind you that I'm very powerful, but I like this girl,
I could see her character becoming more likable, being in the room with the Avengers, with people I already like, maybe. Yeah. If she's playing off them, if she plays well with them. If she does not play well with them, then I will
not like her, which is exactly my point.
My hatred will be there. I'm trying to do my Emperor Palpatine. Feel the hate.
Right. Don't have her step on things that are very beloved, right? To have her be on the same team with them. But anyways, your thoughts, guys, on that trailer? Anything?
I feel like they're very skillfully not giving us very much. I
love it. I mean, I love that because I think I said this a long time ago, right? I don't want to know. I almost don't want to watch trailers. I have a hard time not, but these trailers are giving us so little that I'm like, thank you, please, because I have a hard time not watching them. But you're almost giving us no story, which I don't want to know anything about the story. I don't mind seeing Captain America and Black Widow and those guys talking, and that's it. Just have them talking about nothing important yet. That keeps me along, gives me the hope that I want, but I don't want to know anything. I want to come in here fully
Blank slate.
Yeah, I do not want to unwrap the present before Christmas. I don't want to ruin my own Christmas here. Yeah. All right, man. It's great being a nerd. Thanks for joining us. We'd love to hear your reactions and inputs. Tell us how wrong we are, or if it's something surprising like you agree with us. That'd be great to hear from you. See you next time.